So now you're going to make a stakeholder map for your project. And so I'm actually going to go through the different types of stakeholders for an organization, and I'm going to look at them through a for-profit and nonprofit lens. In a traditional business environment, definitely you have these employees that really want to increase, obviously, their pay, benefits, working conditions, job security, and opportunities for advancements like promotions. But I also, in a nonprofit organization, they are there for a purpose as well. So thinking about when somebody is helping you out with your project, like it might be friends or family, what could you do that would make their participation really be meaningful to them, or offer them some sort of benefit, like feeding them might be something that you could do to increase their motivation for being there. Managers and directors definitely are always stakeholders, and in a for-profit business, they're really trying to manage and oversee the business and grow profit to increase their pay or benefits. In nonprofit organizations, they also focus on advancing the organization's mission. So they want to be financially stable, they want to maximize social impact, and I think this is really what you are. This is your project, and you are making this work. So you are a big part of this stakeholder map. In a for-profit business, there are shareholders. Limited liability companies are owned by their shareholders, and really, especially if you think about public limited corporations, that the people that buy shares in them are really looking to maximize either dividends if the stock that they're buying offers dividends, or that the value of their share grows. In our situation, we don't have that, but I wanted to make sure that you understand that shareholders are also an internal stakeholder. So then there's the external stakeholders, and they're not a part of the business, but they do have an interest in the business because they are involved in the organization in some way. So customers are obviously kind of the first one. They're buying the product, or they're using the service that is provided, and customers are always looking for kind of that best high quality product and of course competitive prices. But I think these nonprofit customers will care about the social impact and the ethical practices of the business for sure. Suppliers are important, so they give you the raw materials, the parts, or the finished goods that are needed, and they could provide services such as maintenance or technological support. You might have somebody that's helping you supply something for maybe a fundraiser that you're doing, so these would be another stakeholder that you might want to think about. Pressure groups, and these are individuals with a common interest who seek to place demands on organization to act in a particular way. Something to think about, I guess. You might join with a nonprofit that is trying to make a statement in your area of influence. So, just think about this as well. Could be a stakeholder in your stakeholder map. And competitors. Competition really, as it says on the slide, it increases innovation, and they need you need to understand what competition is doing. And you can compare what you're doing to what they're doing. It's always good, like on that feasibility study, I always think it's good to think about who else is doing something to change our community this way, or are there any other examples in our that we can look at to see what they're doing to make us better. Just competitors are definitely another stakeholder. The government. It creates laws, but it also gives grants. Hopefully it ensures that businesses act in the public interest and the safety of the rest of the community. And government sometimes wants to know what's happening out there, especially on a community level. You might want to be communicating with a local government because they might be able to help you out. So what you are doing really is this stakeholder conflict. You're looking at, is there a conflict here? Are there different interests happening that we could offset and we can communicate with? And of course, we're not going to meet all the needs of all the stakeholders that are in our on our stakeholder map. And you just have to figure out where they are placed on the stakeholder map, just like you did for your personal stakeholder map, and think about how are we going to communicate with them. So think about, you're the leader of your project, and you need to think about what type of organization am I? Who else could I partner with? How do I create partnerships or communication with other stakeholders that have the same aims and objectives as my project? And then, of course, you're looking at that influence, that power that each stakeholder group has, and the interests they have in your organization. So I go ahead and do your stakeholder map, thinking about it more in terms of like you are a little business. And think about these groups, these internal and external stakeholders that you are going to encounter through this process. And do you need to communicate with them now? Are they really important for you to communicate with? Or are they just in the monitor? We're going to know that they're there. They might provide support. They might not provide support, but maybe in the future we could use them. And if they're in the keep satisfied or highly monitor, like how are we going to communicate with them? How are we going to reach out to them and work with them and create that communication plan? Okay, I'm excited to see what you do.